And welcome to Hamilton Talks. I am Larry Deanne, and Hamilton Talks, as you know, is your community affairs program, speaking with well-known Hamiltonians, and sometimes those who may not be as well-known, but are also moving the community forward and have interesting stories to tell. And our guest this morning is someone who's worn many hats, but we're going to talk about his writing hat this morning. And I'd like to introduce you to Jim Rudnick. Welcome to the program, Jim.
Thanks, Larry. Good to be here.
Well, Jim, you and I go back a number of years, and I certainly, the first time I met you, I met you within a business context. You were president, I believe, of the Flamborough Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, that was fun.
And you still live in the Flamborough area, or do you?
Lived in Waterdown now for 21 years, loving it. When we moved there, again, you know how cities change, towns change, villages change. We moved, it was a nice small little community. You know, we had one barber and one little meat store, and now all of a sudden it's tens of thousands of new homes, roads, traffic issues, etc. It grows like everything else does, like Topsy, another writer once wrote. It grows like Topsy all over the place, and you have to get used to it.
And so what's that like? Because let me tell you why. When I came into the mayor's chair, and we met in your role as president of Chamber and me as the new mayor of an amalgamated city, Hamilton, I took flack from those who didn't like that growth. And they said, there you go, you're letting us grow like Topsy.
Too fast.
When we were sort of a sleepy little hamlet.
Little village, yeah.
They didn't know that in fact it wasn't I who approved all those plans. They'd been approved decades before.
That's right.
But they started building when I took over. And there were those who welcomed it, by the way, as well. So how's it gone in the last 15 years?
Again, like all things, pluses and minuses, pros and cons for everything. But in my opinion, being a past president of the Flamborough Chamber and also sitting on the BIA board where we met, you would come, because I don't think our councillor then came and took her seat at the time. But you came.
Your councillor didn't like you.
No, that's right, she didn't. But
and you didn't like her. As a group.
I don't know if it was a matter of didn't like. It was a matter of could you get these things done and not even a reply. Never mind not getting them done.
Yeah, well, anyway.
So there were some issues. Anyways, I guess my point is the city has grown drastically. Some things we were hoping to get done earlier, like bypasses and those things, we understand they're now on the drawing boards. Money's already been earmarked for same. So I guess it's going to change again. So as I get older, Larry, the only thing I know is that change happens, and it happens at its own speed, and you better get used to it because it's still coming down the pike.
But it's still a good place to live.
Oh, don't tell anybody. It's wonderful. It's Hamilton, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's Waterdown, but it's really not. It's its own little community, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, and of course, I mean that's a whole other topic in terms of the
I'll
link
come back
to
for the Waterdown show.
Yeah, all right. But listen, so you started, or at least you were involved in business, and now you're doing some writing, and we'll get to that. But in spite of the fact that you lived in Hamilton, really your roots, in Waterdown, your roots are in Hamilton.
Yes.
You were born in this city.
Again. Not quite. My mother was pregnant. We lived on Myrtle Avenue in downtown Hamilton, roughly. And my dad was at university in Queens to be a doctor. And he had to go to the Hotel Dieu, which is their big hospital, for like 2 weeks to do something. And Mom went with him. And
that's where you were born.
Born at the Hotel Dieu in Kingston. So that's my hometown. But I was back here in 3 days. So I continue to say almost born, bred, and raised.
Well, yeah, I think it counts.
It does. I'm a Hamilton boy.
If Ted Cruz can claim to be a Texan, even though he was born in Calgary, you certainly can claim to be a Hamiltonian.
That's a great thing, yes.
Yes, and your dad was a doctor, and he practiced in the city of Hamilton. Tell us about your early life, Jim.
When Dad hung up his shingle, which is what they called it in those days when a doctor graduated from med school, he bought 25 Parkdale North, which is roughly 4 or 5 houses down from Parkdale in Maine, I guess that is. Or maybe it's King. In any event, there, opposite the big park. And we lived on the second floor, my sister, my mom, myself, and my dad, and he had his practice on the first floor. And it was it really was entrepreneurship at its most basic. He had a set of skills, and people needed them. And in those days, you paid for your doctor. It was like, Doc, I got a bad cut. Well, let me put some Mercurochrome on it and a little Band-Aid, and that's $7, please, or whatever it was. So they were different days with not socialized medicine. But he was a smart guy, and his roommate, actually from university before he married my mom, was out in Westdale at 1568 Main Street West in the basement. And he wanted to go back home and live in his hometown, Ajax, I believe, or Pickering. And he said to my dad, look, you're okay out there, but why don't you move out to Westdale? And this was 1955. He said, my dad said that this other doctor said, Westdale's a better area for you than Parkdale. Don't know. But my dad bought his practice, small as it was. We moved to the West End, lived in Dundas actually for 6 months till the house we bought could clear and all the rest of it. So we moved to Westdale, and I've lived in Westdale my whole life ever since, until moved to Waterdown. There were those couple of years when I lived in Burlington, but we won't discuss those. Those was when I went over to the dark side. But
dear.
yeah, really, good little town too.
It's an excellent town. I worked most of my teaching career in Burlington.
Good. Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, good for you. I didn't know that.
So, but this is about you.
Yeah, really.
So, you would have gone to school, elementary and high school in the Hamilton.
George R. Allen
Yes.
in the West End, Dalewood Middle School, I guess it's called now, whatever it was called then, and then Westdale High School. Till, again, I'm one of those, I don't know what the right word is, but those people that came of age, turned 18, when everything else was changing in the mid to late 60s. So Hamilton, in its wisdom, said, no, we should take all the grade 13s out of the schools and stick them in one location, HCI, Hamilton Collegiate Institute.
Were you the first?
And I was the first class.
So was I.
Under Mr.
Moles.
Moles.
Mr. Moles was our
Ken
principal.
Moles.
Very Moles.
Very nice man.
So,
Very nice man. Yes, I was there.
And I was there for that very first experimental grade 13 school,
Yep.
where attendance was optional, and you could actually smoke inside the school. Do you remember that?
And we played bridge in the smoking room. Very much.
Well, I didn't play bridge. I was out playing ping pong in the
Okay.
in the gymnasium
Sure.
with Mr. Leedale, who was
Oh,
the
gosh, yes.
remember him?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Cook, Terry Cook's dad, Frank Cook,
Frank.
was a teacher there as well.
Remember him standing at the front and whipping chalk at me to wake me up. Rudnick! U.S. American Revolution. Why? Come on, why? Give me why. Give me why. Give me. Because we didn't like the British? No! Chalk getting whipped
Okay,
at.
well,
Love Frank. Football coach.
Love
too.
Frank. He was a great football
Great guy.
coach, and I didn't get chalk thrown at me,
we did.
but I had to justify why the Italian army invaded Ethiopia. And I had to take
Wow,
it all
there'd
on
be
my
an answer
shoulders.
I would have no idea for,
right?
but okay.
Well, I don't think I did either, but I tried
Cool.
my best.
Cool.
Well, so there you go. So there's some linkage there.
Yeah.
But then, what you went into business as well, or sales?
I slid sideways out of university. I was in my third year of MFA, Masters of Fine Arts. I was going to take the full 5, and Togo Salmon Hall wasn't even built yet at McMaster. He was still walking around, Mr. Salmon. Anyways, long story short, someone told me about this place called the Downstairs John, and what do they do there? They drink beer. Oh, that sounds like fun. And it's full of girls? Oh, that moves up big in my hierarchy of needs. Not a problem. So I got a job as a bartender, or bouncer at the door, because I played football for Mac, bouncer with a whole bunch of other huge guys, bigger than me. Although I thought I was big in those days, but they were much bigger than me. And then slid sort of sideways, got a bartending job, and then someone said, we need an assistant manager. And I said, whoa, I don't know much about managing a bar. Yeah, you do. You do everything that you've been doing before, and you watch other people do it, and you fill out a schedule. Bill works this, so I could do that. And I slid sideways into the bar business, which is what we called it then. And then one thing led to another, ended up owning mine, which was sort of fun, maybe not so much fun. Again, a reminder that business partners are much like marriages. Sometimes it's a really good match, sometimes it's divorce city, et cetera, et cetera. So moved out of that, and then a good friend of mine, Brian Cooper, who was at the time vice president, Canadian Pacific Hotels. He left private business, went to George Brown College in downtown Toronto as the chairman of a brand new division called the Hospitality Division. I think we worked in classrooms with no labs, anyway, long story short, he hired me, and I stayed there for 17 years. At the same time, I was still doing other things. So I had my own consulting business on the side. I was doing no writing. Well, writing, marketing stuff, stuff that, come and see our new awards are, that kind of stuff, which was fun, but not so much fun, honestly. Yeah, no, I can't say it was fun. That wasn't a word I would use to describe that. Boring and warping of the brain might be better, but I got it done, et cetera, et cetera. And then one thing led to another, and I worked for Kraft Foods.
So where did you get your love of books? Because I think to be a writer, you have to be a reader first. Where did you get your love?
Yeah, you do. Again, I tell this story often, but my father, again, back in the days when medicine was not socialized, you had to pay your doctor. Sometimes people would come. We were in the West End at the time, so it was I was 10. So it was 1959. I know exactly what year it was. You paid your doctor. So somebody, honest to God, somebody would bring him like 6 bushels of potatoes and pay their bill with product. I call it barter, but I don't even know if they had that word back then. And he would accept it. Sure, not a problem. Farmer John, not a problem, or whatever it was, etc. One day I'm sitting watching TV, I believe, close enough to be able to turn the dial because we didn't have room. I'm doing that, and he came in and he dropped this huge shopping bag beside me. Boom! Said, "These are for you." Not my birthday, Dad, but I opened the bag and looked inside. They were Ace was a famous publisher in science fiction. Small little trade paperbacks, science fiction, more than 100 science fiction books. Somebody had asked him if they could pay him with science fiction books. And my dad being a science fiction guy, and me, he'd wake me up at 2 a.m. Come on, Planet 51's on. He'd wake me up at 6 years old. Come downstairs, watch TV with him, and then go back to bed kind of thing. So he gave me this set of books, and I fell in love with, again, they're listed on the back of my book, some of those guys, Dick and Van Vogt and all of them. Oh, my God, these guys can write. And this was also the golden years of, the end of the golden years of science fiction was about the 40s and the 50s kind of thing. So I fell in love with all of them. And then the next step, of course, was, Dad, I finished them. You got more? Can that guy fall down, break his arm, and he pays you with more books? And I think, no, it didn't work like that. But he did take me to the library in Westhill and introduced me to the librarian and told her that I now could have an adult card, or he was going to cause crap. That'd be a good word, crap. And they gave me an adult library card. And then she said,
even though you were how old?
11 and a half. Right. And I think you had to be 50. I'm not really sure about the age then. So this would be 1960 or so. And she also said, well, then I'll be censoring his books. He said, no, actually, you will not. He will take anything out that he wants to take. Lady Chatterley's Lover if he wants, because he likes stuff he wants, and you will not censor his books, or there will be even more crap to pay. As a child watching your dad stand up to that kind of thing, that was really cool. That impressed the heck out of me. Thanks,
so you became an avid reader, obviously, and you went through and you list some of the
5 and 10 books a week, like just bing, 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 bing. Oh, and then he did what? Oh, and then the aliens. Oh, this is great. Yeah.
And so the love of reading was embedded in you and has stayed with you.
And I would like to think I'm not like an iconoclast, just me. I hope that all the kids who are now 10 and 15 and 20 are doing the same thing. I have my doubts, as I know about screens and doing this and looking down at tablets and stuff. I understand that, but to hold heft, to hold something in your hand and read it, and earmark the corner, and I'm going to make a note here. To me, this is
the feel of a book. Holding a book in your hands, watching the pages disappear onto the left side as you get towards the end.
You got it.
Is a special feeling.
You got it. I hope everybody enjoys that.
Well, I don't know. It'd be interesting. I mean, I spent a long time teaching English in the classroom, and so I developed my own love of learning fairly early.
Sure.
I would go to the library on Barton Street. In my case, we lived near Sherman Avenue on Cannon, and every Saturday I'd go and pick up my books. And my immigrant dad, who encouraged me to learn, didn't quite understand when he asked me, why are you reading those? And I'd say for pleasure, that was a good thing. He wanted me to read school books. He never prevented me from reading them, but he thought that I was wasting my time a little bit by reading books that weren't intended for school, not understanding the importance of reading.
He sounds like my mother. Same thing.
Well,
stop reading that science fiction crap, JVR, and look at the history book. No, I don't want to read the history book.
Well, and of course, I went through phases as well. I mean, the Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Oh, all of them.
The Tarzan books.
Pellucidar and
ding, ding, ding,
Barsoom.
I'd pick those all up, and of course, that led to my love of the language and wanting to teach it as well, which is what I did.
Ah, that'd be wonderful.
And in trying to encourage kids to read as well. So I left teaching before tablets and Kindles and so on came into vogue. And I've tried that. I've tried buying books on my iPad, but it's just not the same feeling. Even though, the iPad's pretty skillful. It's like turning a page.
I know. So it's a Kindle built in or the Nook or anything. Yeah. They handle it well, but...
So you've written 6 books, and I have them here displayed on the table, as that shot will show. And actually, you brought them in, and we can give them away to our viewers.
Wonderful.
And all you have to do, it's really easy. It's not a contest. You don't have to answer any skill testing questions.
Aww.
And you'll get to learn a little bit about Jim's books. But just tweet me at Larry Deanny and say, give me a copy of the book or book or a simple message. And if you tweet me, and I've only got 8, so it's not unlimited, but I will give them to you. I'll make sure that you get them, all right? Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So, So you did business. I mean, you worked for
Lever Brothers, Shopsies, corned beef. My taste buds are pretty good. I can tell exactly how much clove is in a brisket of corned beef, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Things you learn.
But you were mostly in the sales side of that?
Always marketing.
Marketing.
Sometimes sales and marketing, but I tried to stay away from sales a little bit and more into the marketing end. Why we market, how I can help the sales teams get better, etc. So everybody from Shopsies to Lever Brothers to Kraft Foods. I know a lot about cheese. Labatt's. Oh my God. It was my luck to work for Labatt's, a beer company, when they had more money than God. Literally, anything I asked for, I got in spades. I'm going to need some chits. That's the secret little word you use to take to a beer store that's Labatt's actual little chit, and it gives me free beer. Give me 25 cases. Sure, here, 125. Well, I only need 25. So spend the other 100 somewhere else. I don't have a truck big enough to carry 125. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Labatt's was fun.
So you did all of that, and actually you were one of the first people that I was conscious of as well when we got into this whole age of social media, of actually not only mastering that, but trying to monetize that and translate that into a business for yourself. Talk a little bit about that.
Social media is interesting, of course. I certainly can't speak on all of it. There are some winners, I suppose you'd have to call them, the Twitter, Facebook, et cetera, groups, et cetera, and they've made their founders quite rich, which is great. There are other ones that I don't much take part in, Reddit and, oh God, all the Instagram, mostly pictures, et cetera, Flickr, probably its best days are gone by. There were winners and losers. It was my luck to actually like some of the winners, and I learned how to schedule and post, and what words, you get 140 characters. You better be darn good at marketing to be able to cram enough of a marketing message in there to get a click, to get engagement, kind of thing. So it's all for engagement. Try to get the consumer, whether it be an author or whether it be whatever, a TV set, et cetera, any kind of product at all, kind of thing. Try to get them to engage. It was interesting to learn. I was able to sell those skills to a small select group of clients. I have retired completely from the SEO world, but I still have a couple of clients, which is great. Still have, and I suppose I can mention them because it's public notice. The City of Hamilton is a client. McMaster University is a client. There are a couple other smaller ones, etc. So I still keep 2 or 3 or 4. It keeps my hand in, lets me know what's going on. I stay very close to the bleeding edge of what's going on in social media, just so I know how to help promote those few clients, kind of thing. But the vast number of them, I've just said, sorry guys, I'm retired, kind of thing, which is great.
And of course you're retired because now you write full time.
Yeah.
So tell us about the transition you made. When did you first say, you know what, I've got a book in me, or maybe a series of books in me? How did that happen?
Okay, well, in 2004, I was invited by a friend to go up to the little town of Huntsville. You probably know it, up in the north there.
God's
beautiful.
country.
Yeah, really. And I was going to say take part, but actually I think I paid $50 to do it, to join their Write a Novel in a Weekend contest. A novel? Like, write this in a weekend? Wait a minute, that's a lot of work. So I wonder how hard this could be. So I did a quick, here's what should happen, plot line, etc. And it was which book? It's Pirates over there. And I sat down Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I got up Sunday. I went to bed, obviously, in between a little bit. Got up about 5 or 6 o'clock on the Sunday. and I think I had written 100 pages. Now the book's 300 and change, but I'd written 100 pages. Wasn't bad. Followed my plot lines. How do you write a plot? Well, this, and it has to be a climax, and then there's a little bit of an epilogue or sort of comeuppance at the end.
Denouement.
Yeah, that's the word. Wow, great word. You did teach English. Denouement. Oui.
I even know the 5 uses of the comma, but that's another story.
Oh God, I always get that wrong. Got to shave your head at my books.
Yeah.
So long story short, I put it in a drawer. Did nothing with it until 2014. It lay dormant for 10 years, those 100 pages. Got it back up. It wasn't bad. If I could fix, I can't. So I read my 100 pages and thought, okay, good. So those 3 things have to change. Here's how it's going to, wrote the whole book in about 90 days, maybe. Got it up to 300. Some edits, got it up to 300. And thought, how hard can it was? So I've got it. Now what do I do with it? Well, everything had changed, of course, in publishing. I was going to take 12 months and send it out. The traditional publishing model is you send out a query letter. Here's my book, a little bit of information. Do you want to see the first 10 pages or 50 pages? Or you send it out to agents. 39 no's got me the belief that either they couldn't read or my stuff actually wasn't that good. So I think you see where as an author, you start to believe that your stuff's darn good, but almost all of them said at the end, but this is a subjective read, Jim. Please do send it out to others. This is just my opinion. It is not a book yet. Darn. So at the end of 39 no's, I said, okay, so what else can I do? Somebody told me about Amazon. I really wasn't close to Amazon. I go there and buy products, but buy my books. But you can write, Kindle, it'll teach me more. Went and bought a Kindle, loaded up some books, read them, thought, how hard can this be? My book is better than what I'm just reading, and it's available for $4.99. What the heck? Published it, finished it, and published it July 31st, my grandson's birthday, July 31st last year. And while I won't brag about the numbers, I can tell you that since July 31st up until December 31st, so I guess that's 5 months, August, September, 5 months, it sold more than 10,000 copies. And I went,
wow, it's got to be a bestseller.
Oh God, no. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. In its first month, it did rise into the bestseller and then slowly tailed off. But I still sold 10,000 books. And I kept thinking, well, wait a minute, how long's this been going on? Why did that thing sit in a closet or in a drawer for 10 years? What a dummy I am, etc. And I thought, well, I can do this. Plotted number 2, this one, sleeper ship. Thought, yeah, that's how it happened. And I love the whole sleeper ship concept. Your spaceship doesn't go very fast, so people get on and they go into cryonic sleep, they get frozen, and 6,000 years later the ship arrives wherever it's going to be, and they wake up. That's not a bad concept, and it's been done by all the greats, much better than I will ever be able to do it. But it was an interesting idea, so I wrote number 2.
So because we're now running out of time,
sorry.
Let's get a little bit, and let's tell the kind of world you construct. You have a hero.
I do. His name is Captain Tanner Scott.
Tanner Scott, and he's a flawed hero.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He has, this comes out fairly quickly, so
yes,
we're not really giving a lot away. He's an alcoholic, for all intents and purposes.
He is. He's what I would call, and I'm not even sure about the term, but a functioning alcoholic. He puts a couple of shots of scotch into his coffee. He drinks doubles, interestingly enough, so do I. Wonder where that came from. But he puts a little scotch in his coffee in the morning, and he will spill his coffee on his shirt. I got to go to quarters, guys. Look, I'm the captain. I can't look this back. Run to his court, have a couple of shots, come back and sit in the captain's chair. He knows exactly how to get the intake he needs of scotch to keep himself functioning. He's never ever, at least in the first 5 books till it changes, he's never ever been drunk and made a bad decision. But he has been, found in the gym face down in a pile of vomit and by his crew and cleaned up, moved back to his quarters, put in bed. So he has fallen through the cracks.
And what's the world that he lives in?
He lives on the rim. We live in the Milky Way. It's a galaxy. And way out here on the very edge, before you go across this, and it's about 2.7 million kilometers miles to the next galaxy. There's all this dark, empty space. They live right on the edge. That's where they live. This world.
And what's the world like that he lives in? Who are the powers? What is the conflict, essentially, that he has to confront?
I call the area the Rim Confederacy. It's about 80 realms, or give or take, of various and different. There are royals, there's barons, kings, Gerants, that's a word I didn't really know for a while, etc. Dukes, etc. They have a monarchical system. They control 1 or 6 planets or 23 planets that all answer to them. There are other kinds of setups. There's a Novertag, which is sort of based on the Russian Gulag system kind of thing. So I've taken what I see around the world and tried to pick them up, massage them a little bit, and put them out on the rim kind of thing, which has been a lot of fun. Now that's research. I mean, I would like to think it's a lot of research, but having said all that, it does take a while to sometimes to construct a specialized area where my captain's going to enter and mess up or find out whatever's going on or beat the aliens, etc. Yeah, I should mention that. This is not the kind of book where it's alien invasion and bombs and all that kind of stuff at all. In fact, it's just life on the rim. He goes through quite a few items of he falls in love, and then he has to kill the girl that he's in love with because she's a bad person and he didn't know. I think I phrased that correctly. It's a decision, duty or love. He followed duty. Interesting.
Well, Jim, you have created a world, and I know you know that there are authors who've made themselves very wealthy by having created these worlds. You know, the Potter series, of course, and A Game of Thrones, and
George,
you know, the grandfather of them all in terms of the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, yeah.
And those trilogies and others. There are so many others. I mean, those are the ones that are superstars. Do you aspire to any of that? Would you like a television or movie studio to call you up and say, look, I think we can do something here?
Oh, yeah, sell rights. I'm what you would call very much a newbie. I think that term works in authoring as well as it works online. I'm just barely learning my craft, honestly. There are some issues once in a while. I forget about this or make that mistake. I do, kind of thing. But my book, From Pirates all the way up to Ancient or Hospital Ship, the most recent one in the book, everybody grows, everybody gets better. I'm sure, as you know, if you get a class to participate more and more and more, they learn stuff and they get to include it in their next writing and their next. So I'm getting better, no doubt about it. Would I like to be that good? Oh, sure. But I'm having so much fun right now, it really doesn't much matter. Wishes and dreams, love them, but I'm writing.
Well, listen, Jim, we're going to wish you luck. They're a good read. I've read the first one.
Oh, good.
I will read the others, and I'll certainly encourage my grandchildren as they become of reading age more to absolutely do that as well. And don't forget, if you're interested in a free book, please simply tweet me at Larry Deanny, and we'll make sure that you get a free book as well. Thank you, Jim. And join us next week. We're going to be talking to Chris White, and we're going to learn all about urban zoos. See you then.
Do you have a great idea for a show on Cable 14? Submit a program proposal for a